Mavericks, welcome to phase two, day one of the 2 day a week training program. On this day, it's a mix of posterior chain and vertical push and pull. We're going to kick off the session with some prep work A1 to A3. We've got a pigeon stretch that's elevated. And what we're working on here is we're actually working on extending the back leg. So we set ourselves up in the pigeon stretch. That front hip is externally rotated and the rear hip internally rotated if you can. The back knee will be slightly bent. But what we're going to try to do here is you're going to try to extend that back leg, okay? So pushing the back of the knee towards the ceiling. Get it as straight as you can, hold it for 5 seconds, and then bend the knee and relax again, and then go again. So you've got 5 reps of 5-second holds, and then on the 6th rep, you're going to hold it for 15 seconds with the leg as straight as you possibly can. This will give you a good stretch in the outer hip, but it'll also give you a good stretch in the front of the hip of the rear leg as you extend that leg, okay? So double up, two birds with one stone. Then you're going to move into squat to pike, elevated, weighted. So you're standing on a bench, the feet are a little bit wider, more your squat stance. You'll sit down in your squat holding kettlebell, dumbbell, whatever weight you want to hold between your legs, chest up, nice strong squat position. And then you're going to move from there into more of a pike shape. Now you don't have to straighten the legs here. The objective is to keep the belly in touch with the thighs. So we're closing the angle between the torso and the thighs and just straightening the knees or pushing the knees back until you feel a deep stretch in your hamstrings. So it's like your best pike possible is what we're after here. So you'll start to feel a good stretch in the hamstrings. You'll hold that for 5 seconds, and then you'll sit back down in your squat and hold that for 5 seconds, alternating between the two for 5 repetitions. Last but not least is the thoracic rotation. We did this in phase one. Now we're going to add a little bit of weight. It could be 2.5 kilos. You could build up to maybe 6 to 8 kilos. But the weight's not so important here. It's more about working on getting good rotation through your spine. A locked up thoracic spine will impact our shoulder flexibility. So it could impact overhead pressing movements or chin-ups and stuff like that as well. So we're just trying to loosen up the spine before we move into this session. 2 rounds of each of those, and then we move into our activation. In this one, we're going to go for a chest fly, a Poliquin chest fly, but it's going to be just an isometric hold. We're not doing reps here. We're taking the weights back. We're externally rotating the shoulder, and we're hanging out in the bottom of that chest fly, trying to get a good stretch through pec, anterior shoulder, maybe a little bit of bicep. When you get to the end of that hold, I recommend just dropping the weights because these muscles are going to be a bit fatigued and they're going to be lengthened. So it might be uncomfortable to lift the weight back up. But we're just after stretching that, and dropping the weights once you get to the end is a good way to get out of that. You'll superset that with a core compression exercise. So it's a single leg reverse squat. You're lying down on the ground. You're going to put your foot in a band or a cable machine. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to lift the knee towards the chest, again, closing the angle between the torso and thigh. Hold that for 3 seconds, straighten that leg, go again, hold for 3 seconds. We want to try to get the thigh past 90 degrees. So we're closing that angle between the torso and thigh as much as we can. It's going to hit deep into the hip flexors, muscles that are often tight and weak, and start to help strengthen those out just a little bit. Then you're going to move into your deadlift. We're going on conventional deadlift here, 3 to 4 rounds, 5 to 7 in the first couple of weeks, and then 4 to 6 in the latter weeks. It's just a 3-second eccentric. If your deadlift form from the floor isn't great, you might want to look at a rack pull, but go and check out the progressions in the training notes and choose a progression that allows you to work on your deadlift with good form. You're supersetting this with an overhead press. It's a standing exercise, holding onto a rack, dumbbell in one hand, pressing the weight up and back, and then 3 seconds down. So 1 second pause at the top, 3 seconds down. Make sure what we're working on here is keeping that forearm vertical. So wrist stays stacked above the elbow as we press up and back. And as we come down, we're in that same position. We don't want the wrist back here, okay, or the forearm on an angle. We want this nice, strong mechanical pushing position as we're doing that overhead press. 8 to 10 reps on each side in the first couple of weeks, 6 to 8 in the latter weeks, 3 to 4 sets of the main focus. Then we're going to move into some more accessory work. You've got D1, D2, and E1, E2. D1 is a seated good morning to an incline bench. Keep the weight relatively light, dumbbell, weight plate, kettlebell on your back. Set the incline to a level where you can touch your belly and chest to the bench. You pause for 2 seconds, and then you sit up straight again. Belly and chest to the bench, pause for 2 seconds, sit up straight again. 8 to 10 reps, and then on the last rep, you're holding for 10 seconds. If this is easy, start to lower the incline of the bench, and we work on gradually progressing your flexibility here. You're going to superset that with a row, barbell in the rack, doing supine rows. The higher the bar, the easier. The lower the bar, the harder. If you get to a level where your arms are straight and your head and shoulders is just off the ground and you can do 3 sets of 10 reps chest to bar, then in the following week, you can start to elevate your feet. So this will make it harder. You'll start to put the body on more of a decline here. So play around with that, see how you go. Then you've got E1 and E2. We've got a split squat front foot elevated, 6 to 8 on each leg, and then 5 to 7 on each leg in the latter weeks. And then you've got push-ups. There's an option here depending on your strength. If you're good at your push-ups, you can do nice tight hollow body push-ups, taking the chest to the floor for 10 to 12 reps, then go for it. If not, then I recommend working on an incline push-up. Different variations. We could use a box, we could use a barbell and a rack, we can use our P-bars. Find a level that allows you to stay within the rep range is what I recommend. Don't push yourself to a level where you're failing or you're only doing partial reps. Choose a progression there wisely, and this will help you progress more with your push-ups in the future if we can stick within the repetition range. Any questions or comments, feel free to add them to the training space within Circle. If you want me to give feedback on any of your training videos, also feel free to upload them into the Circle, and best of luck with this day.